Or
All right, folks, we're back. Matt Hawkins, owner of Bridge Supply. This is Jordan Spoon. I think he's on this side, and
hopefully I'm on that side.
he's
You're
an
just pointing to
Arsenal.
the window, if not.
He's an Arsenal member and the man behind the Instagram account for Bridge Supply Arsenal. We are answering questions today from Arsenal members that were submitted to us, and Jordan's going to take it away. This is, I think, our fourth
This
one.
is episode 4. So Rick Smith, he wrote in and asked, how do you come up with your color concepts? What processes go into what pattern to make the cut? And maybe give us a little bit of history on your coin term, Be the Bright.
Okay. A lot of people, I know that's what the people say on Instagram, right? Like a lot of people have been asking me.
This is by far the
Yeah.
most requested,
Yeah.
whole design process, color process. This is the most requested question.
80% of the people that send in questions ask this same question in one way or another, which I think is fascinating because heck, I don't even know how to answer it. But so my design process involves rides. Number one, I try to go for rides, solo rides, and just consider options. And as I've done this a little bit more, I'm learning about color theory and I'm learning about what works. And once you get that crazy switch in your brain where you're just thinking about socks all the time, which is kind of dumb, but that's really what it boils down to. Everything else that you see, whether it's a shoe or it's a jacket or it's somebody's vehicle wrap or anything, you're looking at the colors and you're thinking, okay, like, do I have that color yarn? Can I put those colors together? And so that's part of my thing, is because I have really two concepts. I have gradients, so color gradients from dark to light or light to dark or some weird combination, or I have patterns, and the patterns are harder to come up with because they involve the technical aspect. I don't know if you can see this here, but the technical aspect of, say, this art of the Alpine design, making it wrap around to the back of the sock, or you have the gradients like here. Wow, this is just perfect the way this worked out. I didn't put those there. The gradients of dark to light. And so based on which colors of yarn we have available, I can then play with that stuff in my head. The big piece about the design process is, like, I don't do it all myself. I do come up with the concept and the mock-up, but then I use people like Jordan or Pete McKinney or Lee, who are here locally with me. I blow them up on their text messages and show them pictures and be like, is this dumb? Is this cool? More to vet ideas, whether they're good or bad. Well, I don't vote on it or whatever. And then I really rely heavily on Philip at Cutaway to help me with technical stuff, because he's really good at color theory and design work itself. So like I can have a great logo in my head or something, and he can just bang it out in 5 minutes. So I use him. So that's a lot of how the design process works. I do rely on my wife sometimes for something that's complex, that needs to be like, if it's multiple days of like, is this a bad idea? I will start, chipping away at that. And what I've learned over the years too is, like, I have this joke that I need a t-shirt that says, I've got an idea, because I actually kind of come up with ideas all the time, and not because because that's what I have to do. You know what I mean? Like with this, you have to, like, what's the water bottle going to look like? What's the t-shirt going to look like? What's the whatever? And so if you're not constantly coming up with stuff and vetting it with people around you, then you'll go crazy, or you'll think that everything that you come up with is great, which is not, or sucks, and so it can paralyze you from actually moving forward with a product. So that's the way the process works. I couldn't do it without the other people just keeping me sane and keeping me balanced, and that's there. The Be the Bright question is interesting. When I first started in 2015, I was new to Instagram, and Instagram was new, I would say. It was.
It was still learning what
Yeah.
it is now. It was
I
still
mean, if you had
becoming
2,000 followers back then, you were the man. And now it's like, oh, you got 2 million, or whatever. So things have changed. People are gravitating towards it. But I didn't know how to use hashtags. I mean, honestly, I didn't know what they were. I didn't really know what they meant or whatever. And the one thing I found was, if you get enough people following you and you do something initially, it's kind of like people might notice it, but you have to repeat it. But if you do something and you repeat it, it becomes a thing. And Watts for the Soul started as, like, when I first designed the first sock, I thought that was my tagline, Watts for the Soul. And I thought it was really cool. I'm like, we're going to stitch it on the bottom of the sock, and it's still on all of them.
Yeah.
But what's funny is it's never really been something I've super promoted, but it's been the ethos of the sock brand. And then came Shake the Dust, and then the Stoke Lives Here, and Be the Bright. I'll tell the stories really quickly. Shake the Dust. I heard it in a spoken word poem that you all may see, or you could find it on YouTube. That was just awesome. And when he kept repeating it, and it was powerful. And then I kind of did some research on it. It's actually from the Bible, and it's something that was that Jesus had said like 4 or 5 times in different New Testament books, and it was pretty cool. And it was about he was telling his disciples to go into towns and cities and spread the word. And if people didn't welcome them or want to hear it, that they should shake the dust off their feet and move on. And so it was kind of a cool concept of, like, as a guy who rides and is always kind of riding this wave of fitness and ability and family life and work life and everything, that shaking the dust was just like, get out there and get back at it. And that's kind of where that came from. And because we're, mountain bike friendly, dirt friendly, road friendly, it all just worked. So that's where Shake the Dust came from. The Stoke Lives Here came from when I opened our first shop. I did that thing like everyone does, where they put up brown paper on the windows while I was renovating it, and I wrote on a marker, "The Stoke Lives Here." I mean, it was just something I did, and next thing you know, it took off. And then we did a print with it with Old Try, and and the rad thing about that is, like, it's a concept. People don't know what the Stoke is, or some people, I use the word a lot, but it's the feeling of being positive. That's the way I look at it. And it is wherever you are, right? So it does live here. So that's kind of where that went. And Be the Bright is very similar. Ridge Supply is based on bright colors, bright blocked colors on in functional clothing. So where you can use it and it works, but it makes you more visible. And Being the Bright is also that thing. It's the ethos behind being positive in your community, wherever you are. Everybody is, we don't all wake up on the right side of the bed every day and everything's rainbows and fireballs, so Being the Bright is about resetting yourself constantly to try to do the right thing, be the right kind of person, be the type of person in your riding, running, adventure community that you want to be, or that you'd want to be associated with. And so that's kind of where Arsenal, the Arsenal ethos is, and the Ridge Supply sort of, if there's like a mantra, that's what it is. So that's the answer to that question. I hope I did that quickly enough. I'm not really sure.
I think we were only about 8 or 9 minutes on that one, but I'll add to the Be the Bright thing. I think one of the coolest things is when every now and then I'll throw up and I'll have people send me a message or make a post about what it means to them. And just the amazing array of responses that you get about what it means, or how they do it, or how they live their life trying to be the bright. I think that's some of the coolest stuff you can get, because it's just, you realize that to each person it kind of has its own meaning that still falls in line with the general concept of what you think of it to be. But it's like to each person it has that own meaning, which I think is really cool when you kind of dive into what makes up Arsenal. Everybody has their own way of being the Bright or
Sure.
sharing that, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I think hashtags in general are they're kind of unique in that they do have different perspectives. And Ridge Supply, I think as a brand, I try really hard not to not take stands. That's not really it. But I know that my customer base and the folks that are supportive of the brand vary so greatly that I would never really want to push my own personal agenda on other people or through the voice of the brand. And so, but being positive and being influential in a good way is, something that I promote. And I mean, I'm not always the best at it myself, but it's that thing that I think that's what resonates with other people. And there's people that don't pay attention to it or whatever, but I do think that's part of the Arsenal flavor is that people are doing, and they're doing that on their own. I'm not like, you should say this and do this. But that's how people.
Yeah, and that's when they talk about that stuff, when they're submitting applications or stuff, that's the stuff that kind of stands out. That way of being the Bright in their own way is kind of what stands out for, I want to say getting into Arsenal. I don't know if that's the key to it, but just that's what makes up that community of what is Arsenal, which I think is really cool. I mean, because it probably started as a little bit of just a hashtag for your brand, but now it's really, I would say that is like the standout term, especially for Arsenal now.
And as well as I do, we've got some friends, some close friends that are Arsenal members that are hard as nails.
Yeah.
And the fact that they love that and support that, I think is cool. So no matter how hardcore you are, it's still something that is, positivity is infectious, and people do it in their own way and in their own voice. That's the other thing too, is like, if we had some one way that you could take a picture, we made everybody take the picture this one way, that would be kind of silly. But when you put your flavor into everything that you're doing, awesome. I hope that we're trying to make our little groups better. You know what I mean? So, well, thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Rick, for that question. And episode number 4 in the can, baby. I appreciate it, Jordan.
Yep.